God, dude, if Miyazaki put out a deck building roguelike, it's over. You will never see me again. I quit the podcast. I'm done. I'm just playing this one
games full time now.
Yeah, I'm a full-time gamer. Hopped off the plane from Sacramento, and I'm coming to record a pod.
Like, who's that dude with a Yeti microphone? Oh, is he making a pod?
We're talking about some gamers. I guess I definitely got the memo.
And the Hideo game came on the TV.
Yeah, hello. I don't know why
You can't recover from that one. You can't recover from that one. It's still hanging in the air. The specter of Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, she's always here. She's always watching. Big gamer, Miley.
Totally. What does she play?
I don't know. It's a potentially false claim, but I am claiming it.
Farm Down. They're going Farm Down.
Whoa. Farm Down drop in 2022.
Was it Farm Town or Farmville? Was it Farmville?
Farmville is the Facebook game, I'm pretty sure. What a bizarre drop, like the 2010 Facebook game.
I mean, I feel like both Farmville and Miley Cyrus were at their peak of popularity probably around then.
You're kind of right. That's what a bizarre comparison. I like that.
I guess they're just intertwined in my brain.
Yeah. Anyway, the reason I was singing it was because I got back from Sacramento today. I've got the Sacramento sun painted on my face now. You were looking
tan.
Yeah.
You're looking hale and hearty.
I feel it. It's hot now, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But this podcast has some energy that I'm bringing of like jet setting, you know, like a gamer jet setting.
Were you gaming all along your jet setting adventures?
I was gaming the whole time. Had to wait in the airport for a little while. Gaming. Got on the 90-minute flight from Sacramento to Seattle. Gaming.
Had your Gunnars on, your gaming glasses.
Had my Gunnars on, my Switch Grip Pros, my fingerless driving gloves. Yes, absolutely.
Balls energy drink, and a Camelback.
This is a horrible creature that we've conjured.
The Balls energy drink and a Camelback.
That's a lot
especially horrendous.
It's never clean. I can never really clean that Camelback. That's also a pretty criminal amount of Balls energy drink. I think I would be in a bad spot if that's what I was doing.
I mean, if you're trying to get the same dosage the same effect as you usually get, you got to up the dosage, right?
That's true. That's what they say. Hi, hello. It's Video Game Podtimism. It's the Optimist video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. My name is Chase, and jet setting today. Jet Set Radio.
Ooh.
I didn't play that. I would like to, but I just kind of said those words together.
My name is David. I'll be jet setting in a month from now and Jet Force Gemini.
Oh, yeah, another good one. Just like
should we set a jet off?
Yeah, we're just shouting words that kind of sound similar. Cool. Hey, hi. Have you been playing video games, David?
Oh, I have been, Chase.
Yeah.
Much has changed in my video game life since last we talked.
I was just going to say, because it's been 2 weeks since we've recorded. Last week, I was pretty convinced I would hear about you having beaten Elden Ring, which I suspect is probably true. And so my guess is that you've been left adrift without Elden Ring. So I'm going to be interested to hear where this goes.
Yes. So I beat Elden Ring.
Yes. Fanfare. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yes. Congrats.
Beat Melania, beat the Elden Beast, beat Radigan.
Nice.
I enjoyed my battle against Melania because I had to completely retool my character and create a weapon to beat her.
Mm-hmm.
I went into my arsenal of things. I'm like, okay, what in here can I modify to do the right things to beat her? I found this giant morning star mace.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
With spikes on it that does bleed damage.
I was just about to ask, yeah.
Upgraded it with a fire, Ash of War, and then just upgraded that to the top. And I'm like, okay. And then I just changed all of my talismans to give me more stamina and stamina regeneration so I could keep up with her instead of rolling away and just hitting her with this big old hammer I made.
Yeah.
And it worked. It was great.
Nice.
I beat her in a couple tries after that.
That's awesome.
But that was a really fun fight. That was definitely the toughest fight in the game.
Yeah,
I would say.
it pushes you pretty hard.
It pushed me to create a weapon to beat her.
Yeah.
I was like, no, this isn't working. I must make something. Bring me the forge. Which was a really cool piece of role playing. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, true.
Just
Because
like-
you are role playing as Bobby Baratheon.
Bobby B. So I had to really change it up, which was, I enjoyed that. I liked they forced me to have to play very differently than I wanted to. Like I had this chip on my shoulder. Mike heard everybody talk about how tough she is. I'm like, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to play the way I play and beat her.
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Nothing was working. I could get her to her second phase pretty consistently, but that second phase kicks in and it's just, oh my goodness.
She goes pretty hard.
Yeah. The second phase goes hard in the paint for sure, but it felt so good when I finally got her.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she doesn't have a third phase like Sword Saint Ishan did, so
Yeah, thank God.
who knows? We'll wait for the DLC to see what they bring for us.
Yeah, what y'all cooking up?
But Elden Ring was great. Really enjoyed that game. Not much else to say except that I came back to it a little bit just to finish up some side quests and just kind of tidy things up before I start another playthrough. Going and duplicating my remembrances to get all the special weapons, and then I'll probably go to Renala and respec my guy to do something different next time. So looking forward to that. I've also been playing The Forgotten City.
Oh, wow. Hell yeah.
Forgotten City. So in my tendency after beating a game that has consumed me for a long time is to just be lost adrift in games until I find something that fits.
Yeah.
So The Forgotten City was one of the first ones that I went to because I know you had talked really highly about it and I've seen all sorts of really interesting things about it. So I'm giving that one a shot and I enjoy it quite a bit so far.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. Good voice acting. It's so clearly on the bones of Skyrim that sometimes you just get these like really funky interactions with folk where like they're walking away and you see the back of their head and you try to talk to them and the first thing that moves to look at you is their head and the rest of their body comes to meet it and they look at you with this blank expression, which makes you feel like you're in this weird like I don't know world of androids. I don't know. It's kind of creepy sometimes. So
I personally really enjoy that part of it.
I was about to say it's unintentionally a feature of the game.
Yeah.
It's a bug that's actually a feature because it's endearing. It's not creepy enough to like put you off, but it's just like, okay, this is a video game. But I'm interested in unraveling the mystery more. I haven't gotten too into it.
Yeah.
But I definitely the first playthrough before I went to talk to the magistrate and learn what the rule was, I definitely like stole somebody's money. And then all of a sudden they're just like,
the many will pay for the sins of the few.
and I'm like, oh fuck. And I'm like running. I'm like in his house. I was like stealing from his daughter's chest who went missing because his other daughter's like, go and check out her room. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to take these. Maybe there's something on them to like lead me somewhere. That is a crime. I broke the golden rule and I had to go back and watch this guy kill himself to open this portal for me to escape to.
Yeah, he turns himself into a bag of bones.
A bag
very
of
frightening.
bones. Yeah. So very interesting game. Then I got shot by this assassin guy. I had to find a bow, and these statues are whispering to me. It's very intriguing. So that's very fun. And let's see what else I've been playing. And then I know I talked a big talk about this game the last time I had played an iteration of this series.
Okay.
I may have said some things of I will never play this series again.
Wow.
I'm swearing it off. And here I am again. Do you want to guess?
I do want to guess.
This was also me just in my post Elden Ring sadness of like just trying to find a little hit of something that was gonna match Elden Ring. Like Forgotten City is good, like a very different experience than Elden Ring, which was very nice.
Yeah.
But I wanted something a little bit more fast-paced, a little bit.
Yeah. You said you would never... Have you talked about it on the show?
Oh, yeah.
You said you would never play it again. I don't remember you ever coming down that hard on something.
Maybe never again, but I was very disappointed in this game.
Yeah.
I don't think I said I was never going to play it again. I think I said something along the lines of, I don't see myself playing this anytime in the future.
God, I am befuddled.
It's NBA 2K22, Chase.
Whoa. I was so far away. I was like searching around of like Neo 2. Like, is there another FromSoft game?
No.
Wow.
It's on Game Pass. So I was
It
like,
is.
all right, let's see what you got for me.
For the newcomers to video game Podtimism, there's a bit of lore back in the history of the podcast where David was forced to sell Beats headphones in game.
I was forced to become a salesman and learn talking points.
Yes.
As my character about Beats by Dre headphones in this
to progress
video game,
the story, to progress
in
the video game.
Unskippable portion of the game, which to me was just the nail in the coffin of our capitalist dystopia.
It hurt pretty bad.
I couldn't do it. I'm like, I don't want to be a virtual shill for your company. I just want to be a basketball player. I don't need all this other stuff.
Wait, so was that game, what version did you play that they forced you to sell Beats? And is that the same version here?
No, this is different. This is the new one.
Okay.
That was 2K21, I believe. This is 2K22, Chase.
Wow.
So, yeah, I hopped in after signing away my life and all of their terms and conditions.
Yeah.
Giving them my email address, which I hate. I hate that I have to give you my email address.
It is pretty
to play
bizarre.
A game. Sorry, I'm being very negative right now.
Wow.
But it really bothers me.
You're going back in the trenches right now, David.
It really bothers me. I just was like, I just want to play like a quick game with the Kings, my boys, see how they are in this one, and then hop out. But I get it, and I'm just like, maybe I'll make a character. Dabian the Ghoul.
The basketball ghoul. He's back. Yes.
Yes. First name Dabian, last name the Ghoul. Did the whole entire face mapping thing.
How'd that
from
go?
my app. About as well as you'd expect.
I would expect not very good.
Yeah, it didn't look good. Looked very strange. The game definitely, the algorithm definitely is confused by my ethnic ambiguity, and just throws a little bit of everything in there. So I'm going and I'm playing through the story mode, and it's fine.
Yeah.
They combined the story mode and the online hub together.
Huh.
So now the online hub, where there's all these other characters, is like this overworld where you go and do missions.
What?
While you're also your character. You have like your apartment that you go back to, which is honestly like a nice idea.
Yeah.
Since it's a shared online world with everybody, it's slow, it's laggy, it's buggy.
Sure.
It doesn't control well because you have all these other people who are in there running around. So I kind of understand the wanting to do like a more of an open world thing. But with other people, it doesn't make sense because they're all also trying to be their own character. So why wouldn't you just make the single player a single player thing and the online an online thing? But I see where their head's at. I just don't know if it makes a lot of sense.
Just a bunch of other basketball ghouls walking around.
It's just a bunch of other ghouls. It's Ghoul City.
That is so bizarre. I'm like really stuck on the online hub. Like it's like Destiny or something. Like
it is
a bunch of basketball players just like hanging out.
A bunch of people with like these weird recreations of themselves in this game.
Yeah.
Like walking around, you can like challenge people to 3-on-3 games. You can go and talk to this guy who went to the G League first, or this guy who went to college, who was like your main character from the last game, and it's like a throwback. I'm like,
wow.
Okay. And then they really get into the story, and the story is just so, I don't know. It's not the best story in the world. Let's just leave it at that. So I'm going through this game, and I'm playing games, and it's fun. It's fine. The basketball component itself is still good, right? It's just everything else around it that I don't care for personally.
Yeah.
Then I go back the next day to fire it up, just do a couple quick games in the G League. I hadn't gone online to my Gmail account and confirmed my email address with them. So it's asking me to redo everything. And I'm just like, all right, goodbye, game. And I deleted it.
Didn't confirm the email, so basketball David got thrown away. They slammed the door on him.
Why do I need to confirm my emails to keep all of my save data?
That's wild. I've never heard of something like that.
It's just like, well, you created this account, but now it's gone because you didn't do it quick enough.
You
didn't confirm it quick enough. Yeah, take two. If there's anybody else who can make like a good basketball game out there, please, for the love of God.
Please. David's dying out here.
I am dying in the desert.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, if they put 2K23 on there, I'm still going to touch it. I don't know if it's going to go any better than this one did. This one didn't go that well, I don't think.
That's such a bizarre move to just nuke your character from orbit because you didn't click, yes, that's me.
Yeah.
Gmail account.
I mean, to be fair, maybe they kept that data somewhere, but like, I had to make a whole entire new account, so I just assumed that he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go through the process of like typing my email once and then typing my whole email again.
Yeah.
2 times on a controller.
Yeah.
to make this account. But yeah, man, NBA 2K really just brings the video game meanie out of me.
Yeah.
The nasty. It brings
nasty.
the nasty boy out of me. And that, it used to bring the happy boy out of me. And it makes me so sad that it now brings the nasty boy out of me.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it is really pushing to get that out. There are many times where it could just be a very Podtimistic experience, but here it is pushing the nasty boy out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's a bummer because I mean, still the bones of the game are very good.
The basketball's good.
It's just all the other stuff they built around it. It's just so unnecessary, and it's all just for data mining, microtransactions, all that kind of stuff. They're like a big data company almost in a lot of ways.
It is a bummer. I know that like a lot of games will do that. Like they will sort of gather data, which is just sort of a bummer in the first place. But it's wild when it affects the video game so much like that. Like it's really not as invisible as you would hope it would be. It's just right there in your face of like, that's really all we're doing here. And you are very much being treated as the product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a honeypot.
Yeah.
It's a honeypot for my data.
Yeah. We'll trade you basketball for your email.
Yeah.
But it's got to be real. No fake emails here.
I know. Otherwise, we will kill you virtually. God.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's wild. Anyways, enough of that.
Sure.
I also downloaded and played a little bit of the Nickelodeon All-Stars.
Yes.
It's so hard for me to ascertain how good these games are in a vacuum of just myself playing.
That's fair. Yeah.
I feel like I need 4 friends on the couch to play this game together to see if it's any good or not. Because like I went in and they did a new update where they added voices.
Yes, I heard this. Yeah.
Which was nice. You know, I hadn't played it without voices, but I imagine it felt weird.
Kind of empty. Yeah.
Yeah, empty. I mean, the characters are fun. The moves are fun. It's a little harder for me to follow than Smash Bros. For some odd reason. Maybe I'm just not as familiar with the characters or like the movesets yet. But I had fun smashing some folks with big rock walls with Toph, which was cool. But yeah, I didn't play a whole lot of this one. It was one of these games I just like jumped into to see if it was going to scratch the itch that Elden Ring left on me. The Elden rash needed to be scratched.
I think that's just Scarlet Rot.
That's Scarlet Rot, yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, so these games, when done solo, aren't as good. They need a group. So I'll revisit that one in the future. Little Monster Train.
Oh wow, hell yeah. Get in there, David.
Really been enjoying it.
It's very fun. Yeah.
And it was awesome because the last time I played it was on the PC on Game Pass. I was in the middle of a run, and then I played it on my Xbox on Game Pass, and I just picked up right where I left off. Didn't have to start over. Had all my everything unlocked. It was great.
That's so cool.
So that was really awesome. I really enjoyed that.
Xbox does a really good job of making a lot of that stuff invisible until the very moment you need it, and like here it is. We have your save.
And they seem like a hero.
Yeah, like that's a pretty wild thing to be able to accomplish.
Like I was just sitting there, like, oh my God, did they really just do this?
Yeah,
it was great.
Without having to confirm your email.
Because for so long, it was if you wanted to play one game on 2 different systems, you'd have to buy it all over again. And I always thought that was bunk. I never liked that. Yeah, I don't know how you get around it, but it just felt wrong to have to buy it again to play the same game. And now I can do that. So long as it's on Game Pass, it's fine, which was sweet.
It is cool.
But yeah, Monster Train's great. Got my ass handed to me by the final boss on that run, though. It wasn't even close. He had like 700 health left at the end. My poor engine was just dying up there. Yep. But really fun game. I love
it's great.
All the different... I love that I can have access to so many different cards without having to buy things like in Hearthstone.
Yeah, that's true.
So I can make really fun decks where I'm just like burning spells like crazy to buff all of my characters, and everyone's just like so beefy and strong by the end. I love that. It's so fun to buff characters. It's always so satisfying. One other game.
Okay.
This was the one I've most been impressed with.
Okay.
It is Outer Wilds.
Whoa, David.
Outer Wilds.
Outer Wilds, not Outer Worlds.
Yes, Outer Wilds.
Okay,
the
great.
Spacefaring roguelike.
I'm excited you're playing this because I feel like this does have a certain amount of David written on it.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game is awesome.
It's really good. Yeah.
I've really enjoyed playing it so far.
Yeah.
Just so much. I think you call it emergent gameplay.
Yeah.
Where it feels like every little bit that you're doing is just for you, right?
Yeah.
Because you're the one who's in control, kind of making these things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything's happening around you or to you. It's great.
They have like a certain amount of systems that have been set up before you've gotten there, and then your introduction into the world is suddenly like causing a bunch of shit to happen. And so it's like, you know, there was no story beat written in where you like crash landed on this planet and had to go do this XYZ thing and like got out of there okay, but that's what happened. And so yeah, it's like it does a very good job of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I did my first playthrough. I didn't know it was a roguelike at first.
Oh, cool.
I was just taking a long time, just like talking to people in the village, seeing what's up, like saying my goodbyes. Like, I'm not going to see you guys again. I'm going to go explore the fucking universe now. This is going to be awesome. And I get into my spaceship and I go up and I'm just like trying to learn how to control it because it's very finicky and
it's challenging.
Specific. I love it. I love how it feels. It reminds me of some game that I think we all played as kids. Like it was like a built-in game, like either it might have been like a Flash game of some sort.
Yeah.
I forget what it was, but it was some like lunar module lander
I think I know
game.
what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Whoever made this game, I bet played that game at some point when they were a kid.
Yeah.
Because this game, the way that this spaceship controls reminds me so much of that. And it's so fun.
Yeah. Because
the physics are top notch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it feels great. Like gravity is like really important.
Yeah, gravity. Yes. You nailed it.
I have pulled up the lunar landing game.
Oh my God. This is it. This is exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah, exactly.
That game is so fun.
It's very good. Yeah. I feel like they do a very good job of like conveying momentum and gravity and like all that sort of shit stuff in your ship.
Yeah. Like when you're blasting off from a world and you can feel the pull of gravity and then all of a sudden you just kind of like, whoosh, and you're just like, oh, I'm out of the orbit. I'm in space now. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love the physics. I love the feel of the spaceship. Mm-hmm. The sound design I think is good too, especially when you're in space. Yeah. And like I said, I love the roguelike structure of it. Like I was playing it and all of a sudden it zooms in on the sun and the sun just explodes. I'm like, oh,
what happened?
Yeah. I'm like trying to run away. I'm like, nope, it's gonna get me.
Yep.
And then I wake up, I'm like, oh shit, it's roguelike.
Yep.
And I was so excited to go back up into space that when I went over onto the bridge, I fell down a little bit and fell to my death. Like trying to get back onto the spaceship. I'm like, okay, start over. Here we go. Yeah. And then I go back out, and then the third run through I did, I was trying to land on the Comet, the interloper.
Oh, yeah.
Because everyone was like, oh, no one's ever landed on the interloper before. Why don't you try it? I'm like, challenge accepted. Here we go. Yeah. So I go over, match my velocity, get in real slow, land on it, no problem. Cool. I'm walking around, checking it out. There's not much on there, to be honest. I'm just like trying not to like fall off of it. Yeah. Which is also so scary when you find yourself that you're about to like fall off of this space piece of material in space, and then you're just going to be floating around. Yeah. So scary. And then all of a sudden, I look up. I'm like, man, the sun's getting really close. Mm-hmm. And then this comet goes like right next to the sun. Yeah. I don't know how I didn't die, but I was like getting my ship was like getting almost torn apart by just the heat. I'm like dying. I'm like hiding underneath my ship, like, oh fuck. Yeah. That was awesome. That was a great moment. And then the last thing that I can remember that was really great was that I tried to land on this kind of broken up world, but I just totally fucked up the trajectory. Yeah. And I went in way too fast and just hit it. Oh no. And then I'm just like spinning around. I can't control anything. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then I get out and I look behind me and I'm like, my whole ship is gone. Like it's just the cockpit. Everything else is gone. All the boosters, all the rockets. So I'm just like floating out here in space. Yeah. And then I realized like, oh, I'm out of my ship, and I look behind me, and it's like the rest of my ship is floating away from me. I'm like, all right, well, I guess it's just me out here now. What do I do? So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna try to go home and see if they can get me a new ship or something. Yeah. So I lock on to home, and I'm like blasting there with my jets, and my fuel is slowly going down. Yep. Then I get so close, but I just miss it by just a little bit. And instead of landing on the planet, it slingshots me into deep space. And so I'm just out there. I'm like looking back to see my planet, and I'm like using my oxygen reserves to try and like send myself back. Oh my God. Then I die. Yeah. It was great.
Incredible.
It was an awesome What an awesome experience of a game this is.
That's really cool. I think so much of what gets talked about with the game, and rightfully so, is like the story is really incredible, and the way that it ends and like what it has to say is outstanding. And I think the like narrative exploration of being able to like kind of take the game at its own pace, or your own pace essentially, is really cool. I'm sure you've noticed this on any of the other places you've gotten to, but you can kind of just like do shit on those planets, and then like there's no real order. You kind of just unlock this like web of interesting like pieces of information that you can move on. And so a lot of the game is just sort of like unwrapping this knot of information that you're slowly gathering. But it is really like the game is just fun. Like there's so many of those moments of just like, oh shit, I fucked this up pretty badly. What am I gonna do now, sort of stuff.
Yeah, it reminded me of Gravity. When I fucked my ship up, I'm just like, I'm Sandra Bullock now, let's go. Where's George?
Yeah, I need to invent a George.
I need to invent a George to get me back. Didn't work. Didn't have a happy ending like Gravity did.
Yeah, that's wild that you got so close to the planet and it didn't work out.
It was hilarious. Like I was literally on target for. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. It's gonna happen. I was curious to see what happens when I, as a person, just like
come back,
enter into the atmosphere again. If I was gonna kill me, probably would have. Yeah, because I don't think I would have had enough fuel to stop my landing from being very hard.
Yeah.
But it was, and then just nope, just straight out into deep space. It was great.
That's cool.
And that's all I've been playing, Chase.
That's cool.
What about you? What have you been playing?
I've been playing some video games. I've been playing 4 of them, mostly. Let me see. So starting at the top, a small Divinity update. Divinity update. I'm still playing it. I'm still playing the game. It's very good. I have gotten to the part of the game that I think people talk about and how much they like it. Insofar as like I am able to kind of do whatever at this point.
Like larger driftwood area?
I've gotten to driftwood and yeah, I'm sort of just like moving out in a couple different directions to like go do shit. Have done many quests now. They're all very fun. Pretty much everything that's happening is interesting. I have gone down, talked with what's his name, Lohar, the dwarf guy. Went to go like rescue his homie who was like being tempted by some god or something.
As you're wont to be.
As you are wont to be. Killed all those people. Came back. Apparently the dwarf queen really was trying to invade or something using death fog. And so I was like, Lohar, dude, what the fuck?
That dwarf queen is shifty.
Yeah. And like, I wasn't ready to believe that, because that's what a lot of the magisters were saying, that they're like, oh, dwarven queen's trying to take over. And I'm like, fuck off. Like fucking magic cops. Like, you guys suck. Pretty much anytime there's a fight or a situation that can be resolved by just fighting magisters, I will just fight magisters.
Amen.
Like,
am I right?
At no point has that been a bad call for me. I usually have to jump through quite a few hoops to avoid that fight. And like, they're not that strong. Like you can usually just get them. Anyway, so did all that, met up with this like lizard source user who was like being attacked by magisters. She seems very sketchy. Ivan did not like her because I think she somehow was involved with the death fog stuff. Ended up letting her live. I think that may have been a mistake, but I'm not sure yet. It hasn't come back to bite me quite yet.
I'll find out.
Just ran up on the black pits or something like that, where there's like a bunch of like source monsters showing up. There's like the
pits, yes.
The like family who the magisters are like arresting, trying to look for their source user. Again, easy solution here. Just kill all the magisters.
That was usually our solution too.
Yeah, because like they're never cool. At no point are any of the magisters ever like, oh, that's a pretty compelling character. Like, oh no, they're cops. They're terrible cops. Like
AMAB, all magisters are bastards.
AMAB for sure. It's a great straightforward solution. I think that's where I am now. So like definitely in a little ways, but not. I'm sure still just kind of like on the surface of this game. It's very good. I am definitely in the part that I know that people like, and so I appreciate finally being able to do the stuff that like I wanted to do.
Yeah, this is the meat of the game. This is the good shit.
And it's great. Like I'm really enjoying that part of it. I am still making big monumentous mistakes with how I am playing this game. I texted you about one of them.
Yeah.
Where
the secret difficulty level.
Oh my God. So when I play on PC, because thankfully enough, Steam handles their cloud saves really well. So I can switch between playing on PC and playing on the Steam Deck really easily. And so I'll play on Steam. And when I go to a shopkeeper, I put all the items that I want to sell in a little basket and then click OK. And there is a button that you really need to press where it says, let's make this deal work, right? Like, what's it gonna take to like even this out? it's usually used on the other side when you're trying to like buy something and you can haggle or something, right? Like, here's the money that I think this could take. No, in fact, what I've been doing is just giving my items to these vendors because I didn't press the let's make this deal work, and they have not been giving me gold. So at least like 10,000 gold just kind of like shot down into the dumpster.
You've been such a patron to the local merchant class, though.
One guy specifically, there's one dwarf vendor in the middle of Driftwood that like I have just been hurling my wares at. So he's
big
doing
on the dwarves,
good.
huh? You're a dwarf homie.
I think so. I like talking to them. They're always pretty fun, especially in Driftwood. I feel like the relationship between them and like the Magisters and like everybody there is like a little bit strained. And so I was very interested in why that's the case. And so it's been great. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah. That's it. I don't have any big thoughts about it because I'm still just kind of playing the video game, but I'm playing it a lot. I find myself wanting to play it in like kind of smaller chunks. Like I'll be like, I could put in like an hour of Divinity, but after that, because it's like such a rich and intense and dense game, it's hard to play like 4 hours of it without being like, whoa, that was a lot of video game.
Yeah, it's intense.
So I can't do too much of it unless I'm just sitting in menus trying to like figure out what gear to put on. Because for whatever reason, I will just sit there for like half an hour. Like, okay, so if I swap this over here, this is level 6, so I should probably upgrade that. And like just plotting my moves.
That stuff doesn't count. Doesn't count when you're as far as game time goes.
No, yeah.
It's prep time.
So anyway, it's good. I'm really enjoying it. I will have more to say probably once I'm farther through it or beaten it. I have also been playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge.
Ooh, I downloaded that one, baby. I haven't touched it yet, though. Is it good?
It's good. It's a very good game. So yeah, this is most recent TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video game. And it is a very much like a throwback to the Turtles in Time and TMNT style arcade games. The side-scrolling beat-em-up sort of thing. Sort of in the same vein of Streets of Rage that came out a couple of years ago, where they're taking a series of beat-em-ups that was once very popular and sort of breathing a little bit of new life into them to see like what works about this on the current gen, right? And I think they haven't changed a ton. It's still like very much that game, right? You are still very much running from left to right, beating up foot soldiers as one of the Turtles or Splinter or April. Which is good, and I think like it is simple. It's good. It's simple in that way. Like I don't think they really needed to introduce a lot, and I don't think they did. So like if you're looking for like the ambitious sequel to Turtles in Time, I don't think this is it, but it's like very, very good too. I feel like we talked about this a little bit last year with the games that we felt like weren't breaking necessarily like brand new ground. But were just very good at doing the thing that they were trying to do.
They didn't reinvent the wheel. They just made a good wheel.
Like I think Ratchet and Clank comes to mind, where the game is outstanding, but like it wasn't brand new. Like they've done a lot of that stuff in other games, and so like I think at the time was sort of reaching to try and find like, is that a valuable thing to try and do? Just to try and figure out like what the value of doing that is, and I think it's still there. I don't think I subscribe to like a game is inherently good because it does something new, or that a game is inherently bad because it is doing a recreation of something that already exists. I think there was a part of me for a little while that I think maybe did think like that around, I don't know, like the kind of early 2010s where we were getting so many similar Call of Duty games, and like the indie scene hadn't really risen to the point where like if you weren't really into AAA games, there wasn't a lot else. Of course there were smaller games and stuff like that, but it wasn't the like robust indie scene that you see now, where like there are thousands of games out there that you can just go grab and they're all incredible.
Cattails.
You can go be a cat. That wasn't around in 2010, other than Blinks the Time Sweeper.
Cursed.
And so I think there is a reaction that I have to this sort of stuff sometimes where I'm like, is that really like a very good game? And I think the answer is yes. Like this game included, I'm really into it. It is just doing the Turtles thing, and that's like very good.
It's great.
It's really great. The visuals of it are incredible. They make it look so like lush and vibrant. The combat's really good. They add a little bit. It's like not overwhelming, but like, you know, you've got a couple of different move sets that you can use now, including like, you know, kind of a big ultimate move, which is very fun. So the combat's a little bit varied. It's not just like slam the attack button, although you can play it like that if you know, if you so desire.
Sure.
There's also a dodge roll, which I quite love the addition of.
Is this the Dark Souls of Ninja Turtle games?
I mean, it's more than the other ones. I think so. And so it is hearkening back to these games in a very directly way that I think works totally fine. Like, it's fun. It is similar, like I said, to that Streets of Rage game in that, like, you can kind of beat it pretty quickly. They chunk the game out into this, like, you can either play it as the arcade mode, which is how we would probably recognize these games to be, right? Like, where you play one level right after the other, and you have a set number of lives to do so. There's also a story mode where you can just play these levels as like individual chunks. And like once you get through it, your lives come back and you can come back to full health and all that sort of stuff. So like if you just want to see the whole game, that's a possibility with the story mode, right? Like rather than in the older ones in the arcade, like you might never see Shredder because he's at the very end and like it's hard to get there.
Sure.
But this one, I think very smartly is like, well, I bet there's a lot of people who just want to like play through the story and see what happens and like see all the different levels and stuff like that, which is great. It's good. The game is good. I'm into this one. I haven't finished it all the way through yet. I'm sure I'm not far. And I'll probably talk about it like once that happens, but I'm very much enjoying this. I think the cost of it, I usually don't talk about the cost of video games because like that's an incredibly subjective and personal experience somebody would have with like, is this worth it? And like Podtimism is definitely not a buyer's guide.
Yeah.
But I think this game is like $20 or something like that. And it's also on Game Pass, I'm pretty sure. So there are plenty of ways for you to play it. And I think the lower barrier to entry is a good thing in this game because it's very fun. It's also very fun to like match up with people and like play through it because you can just like go find some people online to be your Leonardo or whatever.
My Leonardo DiCap.
Exactly. Yeah. Leonardo DiCaprio's in this game. Very good character. OP. Another game that I've been playing, David, is Fire Emblem Three Hopes, the demo.
The demo? Just the demo?
Just the demo. The full game isn't out yet as we record this. By the time the episode is out, it will be out. So like go get at it. It's the Omega Force sort of Dynasty Warriors style.
Omega Force is a strong term.
Yeah, it's the company that makes it. It's a good name. It's really good. However, I'm not going to tell you about that. If you want to hear my thoughts about the game, you can hear nearly 2.5 hours of it.
Wow.
Over on Asynchronous.
That's a lot.
Although they did switch it up on me. They called it Synchronous when we recorded. So a little bit of a sneaky when that happened. Because it's a recent game. This just came out.
All right. You weren't ready for it.
I was not ready for it.
We're like, hey, let's mess with the new guy.
Anyway, had a phenomenal time over there. Thank you, AJ and Kim, for letting me come talk about Claude being cute for 2.5 hours.
Cute Claude.
It was great. You should listen to their podcast. And I'm on the most recent one. So go give it a look. Thanks, Async. Appreciate you. Anyway, I'm playing another game.
What's the last game? Is this the last one?
No, one more after this one.
What else are you playing?
This is the newer game called Neon White, David.
Whoa.
This is a newer game from Annapurna Publishing. Annapurna also published Outer Wilds, so a little bit of connective tissue there.
There we go.
They also did Kentucky Route Zero, Sayonara Wild Hearts, and a bunch of shit. So like pretty much whenever they publish something, I'm like, I should probably take a look at this and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Because they got great stuff. I've seen this game in a couple of previews. I think it showed up at last year's E3 thing, not E3 thing.
Summer Game Fest.
Yeah. One of these shows that they do. It's hard to parse exactly what this game is when you're looking at it from the outside. It's like kind of a hard game to preview, having played it now, because I'm like, I did not grok that this is what this game was.
Yeah.
Essentially, you play as this person who has died and momentarily gone to heaven. And they're offered a way to stay in heaven if they go through these like kind of trials as a neon. So neons are people who are like not from heaven. They're just like kind of here, being brought here by like angels and shit like that. And I get the sense it's kind of like a, Hunger Games thing where like you're all going to do these challenges and eventually one person can get to stay in heaven for a little while rather than going to hell. You play as Neon White, who's this very like My Chemical Romance looking dude. The design's very fun. He's like very oblivious to what's going on. It seems like his memories are not there, whereas some of the characters seem to recognize him. And so there's, some implication about like, do they remember the past world? Have they been here before? That sort of thing.
My Chemical Romance. My goodness. Sorry. No, continue. Yeah.
And so the way that the actual game plays out is that you're playing these short little levels, and it is mostly a first person kind of shooter race that you're doing. So essentially you will start at the bottom of a level or wherever, and you'll have to make it to this endpoint. which is like the end, right? And it's timing you the whole time. So like your performance is based on how quickly you can get there.
Okay.
The way you get there is by running or jumping, or you can pick up these little cards and they will allow you to do certain things like double jump or boost or something like that.
So it's a deck builder.
Sort of. It is not nearly as intense. I was like looking at it like, ooh, another deck builder. And it's like really not that. There are cards in it, but
Chase began salivating profusely.
I just immediately bought it. I wouldn't call it a deck builder because you mostly just like pick them up and then immediately discard them. And they're very predetermined by the level, like what cards are in it. I think it's easier to think about them like abilities that you pick up that are like a one-time use. So if you run up on these like demons that you have to beat to get through the level, then you kill one of them and it'll drop like a double jump or something like that. More than likely within the next couple of seconds, there will be a position that you're put in where you need to double jump to get to the next like spot to keep running around to get to the end, right? The levels are all very crafted, and so like it's not just randomized. Like you're kind of going in there in a way where there is a solve for this level and you kind of just have to figure that out. So a lot of the time it reminds me a lot of something like Celeste or parts of that game Ghost Runner. Remember that?
That was fun.
It was fun, and it feels kind of similar to that, where like speed is a very big part of this game, and like you are oftentimes doing a run saying that's not fast enough, or like you'll fall and you press the back button essentially on the Switch and just immediately restarts you back at the beginning, which is really nice. Like there's a pretty low barrier to failure, or a low response to failure. And so it's really great. Like they essentially just plug you into these levels one right after the other, and you keep like, chasing the high score. You can get anywhere from a bronze, silver, metal, or an ace, depending on how quick you do it. And whenever you get a gold or above, your neon rank goes up.
All right.
Which is very cool.
You like that. That gives you the little bit of neurotransmitter right there.
My lizard brain says thank you. That's nice. One more, please. Essentially, the implication being that if you have the highest neon rank by the end of these 10 days, that you will be the one who gets to stay in heaven. You're also running into these like characters, like I said, that seem to recognize you. Neon purple, neon red, neon yellow are the ones I've run into. This game isn't awful about this, but it is awfully horny, the video game. There are parts of it where it's like, oh, that kind of stinks, but I feel like most of the time it is horny in the way that Hades is horny.
Sure.
Where like everybody's just kind of flirting with you.
It left kind of anime. So.
Yes, no, but I mean it is very anime. Like that part of it is definitely in there.
Yeah.
And so like, if that's something you can't stomach, then like maybe don't grab this one. But it's not overwhelming. I'd say like the majority of the time you're playing the game, you're really just doing these runs. And I'm really into it. I think the stuff that is the most interesting is just like the actual game loop itself is really compelling. It's really addicting to just like continually go back and try and do like one more run to do it a little bit better and yada, 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 all that stuff. I also think that the design of the world is really, really good and interesting. It is not something that I see very often. Like when you're actually in the game, the 3D part of the game, it's got this like default 3D rendering background. Like it looks like somebody opened up Maya or Blender and put this level in there and didn't do anything else. Like it is like the water looks like kind of standard water, and like the background is just like a skybox and like water on the ground or something like that. And like I could see a world where that looks really boilerplate and cheesy, but it doesn't. It looks very interesting, and like I like that being the background of what heaven looks like. Just this kind of like sterile and bizarre place that you're going to run around to like fight demons or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't say that this is a case of like, this is bad design, blah, blah, blah. Because the rest of the game is very stylized and very like intentional artistically. And so I think that is also an intentional decision to make the game look like that in the real world. And so like I'm really enjoying just the visual part of this game. I think it's really fun.
Okay, cool.
And like as always, I love stuff like Celeste where like there's a solution here. You just kind of have to figure it out.
Celeste.
It's really good. I don't think the narrative is quite as groundbreaking as Celeste was, but I'm really enjoying the rest of it. I think it's a really good game. It just seems like a very creative game, and I really love whenever that happens too.
That's always great.
Sort of the inverse of TMNT. Like this is a very original and brand new sort of thing that I really haven't encountered before, and yet both of them are good.
Fancy that.
Video games. They're good.
Video games.
So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm definitely going to keep playing this. I'll report back once I'm probably farther through it.
Oh yeah. I'm interested.
Another game, the final game that I've been playing.
Final game. Here we go.
Mysteries Under Lake Ophelia, David.
Huh? What is this game?
This is a game. So every so often I'm on the Switch and I just kind of look through recent releases and see like, what's going on? What's going on here? Because like there's a lot that comes out of the Switch that I just like have no knowledge of. And I saw this one. I was like, that looks really weird. It's like $6. It's there was a bit of 3D asset that I'm like, that looks a lot like something from Fatum Batula, that like horror game that I played a couple years ago. I was like, I wonder if this is the same person that made this. Sure enough, this is a Bryce Bucher game, which I was Bryce himself. I'm really excited about this. I love the stuff that Bryce has done before. Like I said, I really, really liked Fatum Batula. That was kind of an entryway for me into this like indie PS1 style horror games that I really adore. I think there's like a lot of creativity that comes out of that space. And like Bryce is just like prolific. I feel like I see him dropping games all the time. Like, oh, here's this new thing. Here's this new like idea that I'm playing with or whatever. And so it's really, really good. I was really excited to see that like, oh, here's a whole new thing that I had no idea about. So I picked this up. So a little bit of background if somebody hasn't played Fatum Batula, it's like very much a horror game. Like it's scary. And I think like atmospheric is probably a better description of it because very rarely is it like genuine terror, right? Like it's not particularly like violent or anything like that. There's just like unsettling shit that happens in it. And the tone of it is like very frightening. So I was expecting something like that just because I've played a handful of his other games and most of them are kind of set in the horror genre. And the game very quickly says like, no, this is maybe something else. It does give you like some amount of content warnings before. So I'm like, okay, something is going to happen here, but the game plops you down.
Something fucked up's going to happen.
Yeah, at some point things will break a little bad. And the game plops you down and it is immediately just a fishing game. You are this person who is wandering around Lake Ophelia and you're fishing. That's it. Like it is very simple.
All right.
Plays kind of like the Ocarina of Time fishing game where you just sort of like hurl it into the water and then just kind of like, pull it back in a little bit and see if you can get one. There's a bunch of different areas to go fishing. You can then use those fish to sell back at your camp because there's this dude who shows up and is like initially very much tipping his hat to the fact that you're like don't know who he is, and it's like, no, I'm not weird. Like I'm just here to buy your fish or whatever. And so you can buy or sell your fish and buy better like tackle and rods and shit like that, so you can get different fish and go deeper into the lake with your fishing. And it's pretty good. Like I was not expecting the game to be just as like kind of straight down the middle in a certain sense. Like I feel like the other Bryce Bucher games that I've played are like the mechanics are bananas and like you really got to like kind of work with what you're given and figure it out. But the game does let you sit in the fishing for a while, which I really enjoyed. Like,
and then all of a sudden you catch Cthulhu?
Well,
am I not far off?
Not really. I think one of the content warnings is like Eldritch Horror or something like that. So
there you go.
Yeah. So anyway, point being, like, I was very much the whole time just like, okay, come on. When is something going to happen? Because this game is very fun, but like, I know that this isn't the whole game. And it's as if Hideo Kojima came out and was like, hey, I'm making a kart racing game. Everybody's going to be like, sure, dude. Like there will be a kart racing level, but there is so much more to this game. I am just sure of it.
This is the first kart type game.
This is not the first kart type game, but Hideo Kojima's death karting will be. So I'm very excited to see
strand type kart type game.
I'm ready for it. I want to play Hideo's take on a kart racing game.
Yeah. It'd be good.
Yeah, it would be.
The names would be great, that's for sure.
Yeah, go fast, man.
Go fast, man.
It's just Sonic.
Turn good guy.
Turn good guy is good. I like that. Anyway, so I don't want to ruin the game because it is particularly short and particularly inexpensive, and I think you should support games like this. But at a certain point, it does break a certain way, and it is frightening and good.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's got a similar sort of fear to like Subnautica in a certain sense of like what's down there? What's going on?
What lurks beneath?
Yes. And so I love it. I really, really like these kinds of games. I've talked about this before, these kind of like boutique horror games where they're not long. Like most of these kinds of games that are in this wave of kind of low poly horror games are pretty short, and I think all of them are so much better for that. Like it is so rare that I play a horror game that is scary at hour 40, or as scary as it was in hour 0 as it is in hour 40, right?
Yeah.
I think a smart thing that Resident Evil Village did was chop that game up into little bits so that each little like part of the village feels like a very different entity, so you're not really sure what to expect with any of that. Whereas, you know, with a lot of other horror games, including like, you know, the Resident Evil remakes and stuff like that, by the end of it, you're just kind of shooting dudes, right? Like it's not that scary of a thing anymore. But with horror games that are really short, you never really get a chance to like grasp at the edges of what makes this game tick, right? Like like this game, the whole time you're expecting it to be scary, and it is eventually, but you don't know when that's coming. Whereas, and that's I feel like a trick you can really only pull a couple of times in a video game before it's like, okay, I'm going to beat the level, and then there's going to be a scary thing, and then I'm going to beat the level again, and there's going to be a scary thing again.
Sure.
Whereas when it's once, you're just on, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, and I find that a very common experience with these kinds of horror games that I've played, where the kind of thesis that they're putting out is there's a frightening thing that's going to happen, and that's going to be the whole game, like 1 or 2 hours of this frightening thing. And I love that. I really, really like that. Love when game designers aren't tied to having to make a game of a certain length, have it be a certain kind of mechanic, have it look a certain way. Like a lot of this feels just like very different than what the game's sphere oftentimes is. And so I love it for that. Not to mention, like, I think this is a really good game.
Sure.
It's straightforward, and like, I think calling it simple is not the right word, but like the mechanics aren't horribly complicated, you know?
Yeah. It's focused.
Focus, I think, is definitely a good description of it. So yeah, I really liked this game. Like I said, it's like 3 hours long. You can beat it pretty quickly. And the last couple of scenes are wild. Okay. So, yeah, it's like got a little Junji Ito in it.
Sure.
Of the, you know, Hellstar Remna and Uzumaki and shit like that, where like it is just all of a sudden wild. Which is really good. I really like it.
Nice.
And that's what I've been playing. David, can I tell you about my Podtimistic thing of the week, David?
Yeah.
It's getting a rank on a level, David.
Ooh.
It's pulling up to the end of a level and then saying, hey, you got S rank on this one.
I get it. I get it. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It is a ding boy centric Podtimistic thing of the week, but like, damn, it is good. It is good when I get the S rank or the gold rank or the ace rank in neon white. It's really good. I really enjoy it. It's not, there's sometimes I'm playing through games and I'm like, there's just no way to get an S rank, but I do enjoy it when it is made possible to do that. It is nice to be able to do the perfect run or whatever.
Yeah.
It's good. It feels good.
Makes me like, not only did I think I did well, the game thinks I did well.
The game has judged me and said,
yes,
nice, dude. Sick score.
That outside
validation.
Praise, the validation really hits different, especially from a cold, unfeeling machine algorithm.
You have done well. You should be proud.
Is that Arnold?
No, that was a robot.
Close. It was close to Arnold.
Yeah. Do you have something fueling your sense of optimism this week, David?
Yeah, it's a good spaceship.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Lots of good spaceships in video games, too.
Definitely the spaceship in Outer Wilds was getting going.
Yeah.
New Starfield footage.
It's coming.
Spaceships in those ones look pretty cool.
I'm
into
really into that, yeah.
But yeah, just anytime I get to pilot a spaceship, I'm down. It's just great.
There was also that period in games where you were never sure, am I going to be able to pilot the spaceship? Like, it's questionable.
It was like, are they going to be able to do this?
Yeah. Because, like, obviously more recently, it's like very fun to, you know, pop into Elite Dangerous or No Man's Sky and get, you know, get into your cool spaceship. But like, you know, are they going to let me fly the Pelican in Halo? The answer is no. You have to go download Flight Sim for that. But they will let you pilot a Banshee. I remember that being pretty like groundbreaking. Of like, oh shit, I can pilot this thing. That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of good Star Wars spaceships. Like
the
Squadrons. That was a good one. Loved drifting in there. That was very good.
The drifting, yeah.
Yeah, lots. I feel like, I don't know. I love that games are totally cool with being like so into spaceships and space. Like I feel like video games and sci-fi go together really well.
Absolutely.
It's just really good. Kerbal Space Program, it's a good spaceship game. Also, can I toss in FTL? I really liked the spaceships in FTL.
You can toss in FTL. It's a great one.
Very fun. Love the ships in FTL.
The Normandy?
Love FTL too. Oh god, dude. Talk about a fucking spaceship. Are you kidding me?
That's S-tier spaceship right there.
That's absolutely S tier. Because, yeah, you can, like, not only can you, like, kind of pilot a little bit in the world map, you can go hang out. You can kiss in the Normandy.
You can kiss in there. Gilly Chambers.
Gilly Chambers. Yikes. Yeah. Oh, my God. The Normandy. That's a good one.
The Normandy? starring Eddie Murphy?
I, for whatever reason, used to call it the Normandy whenever I was playing through Mass Effect.
Was it based off of Norbit, the movie?
I think it was based on the similar sort of video game Podtimism humor where I just sort of say a word a number of times until I can fuck it up enough.
Until it sounds like, oh, it could be this too.
Yeah, it's not the Normandy. It's the Normandy. Yeah. What'd you say? Eddie Murphy?
Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy.
Do you want to move on to our main thing, David?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, it's Good Games. It's a segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear and gush all the things that we love about them. Hello, welcome. It's time.
It's time. There's no more time for snacks. It's time for good games.
It's time for good games. And we have a very bizarre one, speaking of FromSoft.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bizarre that this is a FromSoft game, but yeah, proceed.
Yeah, so wild. We're talking about this game called Lost Kingdoms, which was a GameCube game. Wait, hold on. I'm not going to tell you where it's from yet. I haven't played the hot stats stinger. Can I play some, can I tell some hot stats to you?
Put them in my ears.
Huh, okay.
Hot stats. Hot stats.
This game came out May 27th of 2002 for GameCube.
Wow.
Bit of a throwback. Yeah, 20 years old this year.
Sure is.
And it was made by none other than From Software. You will know their hits: Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, and also Eternal Ring, much older game.
Oh, Sekiro,
and Armored Core, and Lost Kingdoms.
Wow.
They've been around for a little while. I think they just weren't they didn't have their thing that they did until Demon's Souls.
Was there like a pre and post Miyazaki era?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, because Miyazaki wasn't really involved in this game specifically, so I think it took him a little while to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly, yeah, once Demon's Souls hit, they're like, ooh, let's do a lot of this, actually.
Yeah, keep them coming, Miyazaki.
Yeah, I do have a review from Oldies Rising, another French outlet of Lost Kingdoms. I've taken their review, which was originally in French, as I mentioned. I've run it through Google Translate a bunch of times, including through Esperanto. Spat it back out in English to really mangle it and get it moving. I had tried Jeux Video. Sorry, all the Jeux Video heads out there. I'd given it a go, but it wasn't really long enough. It wasn't hidden. It was just kind of a review of the video game. But I do have one from Oldies Rising, which I think will satisfy our dark desires.
Ooh.
So let me read for you what they said after I mangled it up with Google Translate. As you can see, Lost Kingdom is a great independent game with a combination of tiny hands and cards. Despite his weaknesses, he uses technology to prevent people from becoming a world of light and darkness.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, that final victory did not impress my peers. 80 out of 100 from Oldies Rising.
Not a bad score.
Not a bad score. Went a little Kingdom Hearts there towards the middle to becoming a world of light and darkness, but I really like that. Yeah.
Oh, man.
This was written by Ansem the Wise.
Ansem the Wise. Handsome the Wise. He's under a pseudonym.
We have an episode called Handsome Ansem, don't we? That's a thing. That's a joke we've made before.
Sure is.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I wasn't like...
They're awfully close to each other.
No, it's right there. It's right there.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell me what Lost Kingdoms is, David?
Chase, you snuck one of these in underneath my nose. This is a deck building game.
Oh, it is. Yes, it is.
This is a deck building dungeon crawler.
I think so, yeah.
So it's a top-down isometric viewpoint. You control the princess, who has the power to use monster cards and bring them to life and battle these other monsters in the kingdom that exist in the fog, the dark fog that is engulfing the world.
Kind of familiar.
Yes. Lots of callbacks, or not even callbacks, but allusions to future From Software games in this game, especially with dark fog through the world. Very old one-ish.
Yeah, definitely a similar vibe of like the world is like ruined and it's this spooky fog that's going to get you.
Yeah, exactly.
Katya is the name of the princess.
Katya, yes. So the way that the gameplay works is that you are Katya, the character, and you have different cards in your deck of monsters that are hotkeyed to different buttons on your controller.
Yep.
And there's several different types of cards. So there are ones that you summon, and it just like creates another character on the field to fight with you. There are ones that are kind of like a quick like weapon card essentially, so they do like a quick attack,
slash or something,
or a poke or something. And then there's ones where you become that monster for a hot second and do some very powerful, like usually close range attack. Those are the basic types of cards. There's all other sorts of differentiations outside of that, but that's the basis of it. So the way that the battles work is that you have a dungeon essentially that you can walk around, and then there'll be you'll trigger a battle, and it'll become a small arena in part of this dungeon that you then battle these monsters in. So your monsters will get experience points, you can get new cards, you can make separate decks, you can transform your cards into better cards. You can buy and sell and duplicate cards. So it's all based off of making a sweet deck that you like, which is the basis of the game. And you're trying to find your dear old dad.
Yeah, essentially like your dad disappeared and you're like, well, I gotta go find him. So that's pretty much it. And like a witch helps you. Like there's just some lady, old, very FromSoft to just have like an old lady following you around speaking cryptically about what you need to do.
Yeah, she's just like, come on, I'm the only one who can help you. I know what you gotta do. You gotta use the cards. Yeah. Follow me. So it's like, okay, it's very much if you want to live, get in sort of situation. But yeah, I mean, it's very empowering for Katya because she's, the only person who can save things and against all these big ironclad knights who are just scared of these monsters because they can't do nothing against them. Yeah.
The enemy design in this game is so FromSoft. Like it's just like
it is
lizard men and skeletons and ghouls and shit like that.
Ghouls, goblins, and orcs. This is a veritable who's who of Jay-Z's name drops, and
it's true. Yeah, you almost got the whole cast.
Lyrics. Yeah. Almost got the whole cast of characters. Mummies.
Mothman.
Mothman. Mind flayers.
Yeah.
You got them all.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Why don't we talk about what we liked about this game?
Yeah.
It's weird as hell, this game.
It's very strange. It's a weird mishmash of genres.
I didn't know what to expect, really, because like I know that if there was an old FromSoft game that played anything like Dark Souls, everybody would know about it by now.
Yeah.
And so I was very much like, I don't know what the hell this is going to be when I was firing it up, and like hadn't really heard of it that much. As I've said before, like I think my exposure to GameCube games are mostly the bigger releases. So like I didn't really get caught up in a lot of like smaller titles that like weren't smash hits or whatever. And so I hadn't really heard of what this was. And I was pretty pleasantly surprised about just like how bizarre of a swing so much of this is. The combat is really weird. I like haven't seen that before where you're like throwing cards down to summon monsters, and like you kind of have to be careful with how you're using your cards because, from one end of the level to the other, your cards don't immediately come back. And
no, they don't. They deplete.
Yeah, if you run out and like they go away, then you're kind of fucked. And so you have to be careful and like conserve a little bit. But they do make that clear, and I like that it's, the threat of not being conservative enough with your attacks is always there.
Yeah.
You can't just like hurl every dude you have at it.
Exactly. You have to think a little bit. It forces you to think a little bit of like, should I use the rest of my catter poke on this guy right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Or summon an orc right now for this like one tiny little fight. Like that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Exactly.
Because typically, the bosses of the fights or the levels are definitely more challenging. And so you kind of want to conserve at least a few heavy hitters for that part of it.
Yeah, the bosses are tough usually.
So yeah, I liked a lot about this game. I think most of all is just the novelty of a lot of it. It is such a bizarre experiment in how to structure and play a game.
Yeah.
Because you're mostly just going from one level to the next. Like there are explicit like levels that you go into and can finish. And so like while that part of it is kind of standard, the combat is just so bizarre that it's like this is a very different thing.
It's like a strange mixture between like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon.
I was gonna, Yu-Gi-Oh was written in my notes of like summoning these like actual monsters from cards. It reminded me a lot of the I can't remember which game this is, but the Castlevania game, you don't like, when you beat an enemy and you get their power, you don't get the bone to throw it. You can summon the bad guy to do their attack. I can't remember which one that is, but it's one of the ones on the handheld system. But
Aria of Sorrow?
it definitely could be. I think that makes the most sense.
I think you can take their powers in that one, but I remember.
You can take their powers in a lot of them, but it's just about which, I'm trying to think of which one you can actually summon the bad dude to do the thing, to throw the bone.
That's what it felt like to you.
Yeah, like how when you beat these characters, a lot of the time you almost get them as cards, right? Like a lot of the times you'll fight an orc and then you'll get an orc later or something like that.
Or you can capture them.
Yes, that is also true, which is...
I never got that to work.
No,
it's hard.
I watched like YouTube videos of people doing it. I was like, okay. Yeah, it's really interesting. And like, I like the physicality of that. I like going into a fight and being like, okay, I've got like some dudes that I can throw out here and have them fight for me or whatever. I really like that, rather than just like, you know, the theoretical fight that is going on if you're playing an actual tabletop RPG, you know?
Sure.
What were you into on this one, David?
I loved transforming my cards.
Yes, yeah.
I'm always a sucker for, make this card more powerful now, please. I've used it a lot. It's ready to level up. So I always love doing that. I love making the decks. Like just going through and be like thinking like, okay, which one of these synergize well together? What are my weaknesses to right now?
Right. Yeah.
Like what am I lacking in this one? Like if there's a specific type of monster, because all your monsters have different types of attacks, like am I having any holes anywhere? So I do like the strategy element to it. And I did like the weird wonky gameplay. I thought it was fun. I liked summoning the creatures. I liked using them for their little quick attacks. I liked the big summons where you became the monster to do a big attack. I thought it was very unique. I've never played a game like that before, where it's based around you're a summoner essentially, and you control these beasts to fight these other beasts, and you're just kind of running around the battlefield trying not to get hit. And just putting up walls of like summoned skeletons in front of you to like keep the enemies at bay. So it's fun, and it's there's also an element of, you know, trying to game the game and like knowing where to put a summon if there's obstacles on the battlefield, so they don't get stuck or anything like that, because that definitely happened to me a couple times.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a very unique game, and even, you know, 20 years later, I can't really think of any game that's like it out there. And it's not a bad gameplay loop, honestly.
No,
it's satisfying, it's fun, it's not perfect. There's definitely ways that you could modernize it pretty effectively, I think, but it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun at the base. I was actually pleasantly surprised by how much I was enjoying this game.
Speaking of Monster Train, it's got a similar kind of vibe where you're like pulling monsters out to fight one another.
Cards and
like
monsters and put them out there and let them do their thing.
Which is, surprising. Since we've been doing the show and since we've been doing like this part of the show, I'm always, whenever we run up against a game where I'm like, I'm so shocked that I don't hear more about this more often. Ikaruga was another one where I was like, how isn't this just stolen everywhere?
Sure.
Like I feel like that idea could be put in almost any game and it would be fun. And a similar sort of thing here, like how have we not seen this kind of like deck builder yet? Because deck builders are so popular right now.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that we don't see a like kind of 3D fighting
third person action deck builder.
Yeah, like I'm pretty surprised that that's not a thing yet, given that this already exists, sort of. Yeah, it's a fascinating game and like definitely like genuinely pretty fun. It's also so wild to look at it from the FromSoft perspective.
There are weird, like we were saying, weird allusions to the future. Of the character design, the fog, just the general, I think, user interface of the game.
Yes, the UI is very FromSoft. Yeah,
which is just off-putting because the tone is very much not FromSoft, or at least Dark Souls.
Yeah,
you know, it's definitely a little bit more cartoony, upbeat than the current FromSoft games are. But it's interesting to see like, oh yeah, there's this common DNA in these games, and this is like, this is where this came from. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I think like you were saying, the character design is really FromSoft. Like having like a skeletal warrior is always like, okay, we're playing a FromSoft game, huh?
Banshees, wraiths,
a skeleton with a big sword. Yeah, exactly. Like they're very rooted in like kind of this like fantasy trope sort of stuff of like kind of old school swords and sorcery monsters.
Man-eating plant.
Yes, yeah.
Dragon warriors.
Yeah, which is great. Like, I love that that's been there for so long. I agree that the tone is a little bit different, but it is really interesting to me that the world itself feels very Dark Souls of like, it's like, you know, you're wandering through a cemetery and it just feels like hollow and kind of cursed.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, this may have been intentional, it may not have, but I think this game ends up doing something that I think FromSoft games in the future would do on purpose, which is making their worlds a little bit empty in a way that is unsettling. A lot of, you know, Dark Souls or Elden Ring, like there's a lot of open space in those games where it's just like, oh God, this world is cursed. There's nothing here. And, you know, they use that to good effect. And a similar sort of thing here where there's a lot of empty space in these levels. And that could easily be something that was a technological restraint at the time, but it's hard for me to distinguish between, you know, it being on purpose or not here. And so I kind of just defaulted to like, that's just how FromSoft does their world. And so I think it worked for me where, you know, a lot of other older games, it's hard to shake that feeling of like, this world is empty because people did not have time to finish the game, you know?
Yeah.
Versus like, this is intentional and it's cursed and the fog is here and it's scaring everybody away. Now there's just skeletal warriors
There were
everywhere.
people here, but they're dead now.
Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah.
So I really liked that part of it, which feels very FromSofty. And yeah, you're right. The UI and the UI sounds specifically, the like, whenever you're like going through the UI is very FromSofty. It's interesting because like you were had mentioned or alluded to, Miyazaki wasn't at FromSoft, which I think for most people would be where FromSoft starts to become the company that it is now. And of course, that's, you know, not giving credit where credit is due, because a lot of people did work there already, you know, who would go on to work at, you know, Dark Souls and Bloodborne and all that sort of shit. And so it's not like, you know, Miyazaki showed up and suddenly the whole thing was different, but it may have just been the catalyst for the skills that were already there to sort of just point in the right direction, right? But there are a lot of people that were there. I think I was reading through the credits of this game and, you know, see a lot of familiar faces with like the programming folks, the design folks, the people who are doing like the art for a lot of the characters. And, you know, like we were saying, that makes sense with the character design. And so I think, you know, these people were just making the game that they wanted to make, and this is it. And so it's really interesting to see this kind of game viewed through the lens of a company that is wildly popular. You know, like it would be really in a similar fashion, like if Spielberg had made a bunch of like bizarre sort of indie movies before he was like a big, you know, before he made E.T. or something like that. And you're like, whoa, this is
Spielberg's
wild
early
shit.
years.
Yeah. And like, I'm sure he has smaller movies, but like not in the way where it's like, wow, this is really different than the stuff that was coming out.
Experimental.
Yeah. And so like it's a really cool artifact of game design, just because like I think FromSoft is like one of the bigger names in games now.
Definitely. Yeah.
But like Elden Ring outsold like Madden and shit this year, which is like just
wild,
insane.
Yeah.
Like that is not a normal thing to happen.
No.
And so like they're very much a big name. So it's fun to go and look at like, what were y'all doing 20 years ago? What was happening in there? And it turns out card builders. Yeah.
Get on it, Miyazaki. Next game. Let's go. I was about to say Chase would lose his mind.
God, dude, if Miyazaki put out a deck building roguelike, it's over. You will never see me again. I quit the podcast. I'm done. I'm just playing this one
games full time now.
Yeah, I'm a full-time gamer.
Oh man, what a phrase.
Yeah.
Not even streamer, not even MLG pro gamer. Just I'm a professional gamer.
I'm a full-time gamer, baby.
I'm a full-time gamer, baby.
I'm a gamer, baby.
Oh no. The worst mashup of all time.
Well, you didn't like that?
Just invoking Mr. Rock himself, Kid Rock himself, is a pretty wild pull. But then, yeah, changing cowboy to gamer is not so good.
I mean, what are gamers if not modern cowboys?
That's what I've been saying, David. I'm glad we're all finally tuning in.
I feel like I was taking crazy pills over here.
It's the Wild West out here, and I'm just gaming.
Wild West.
All right, well, that's enough, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think this game does a lot of great things. I didn't enjoy the speed with how you traverse the world. There seemed like there was some unnecessary slow down things like walking through mud and stuff that just seem to be there just to make you take longer to move. But I mean, they still kind of do that in the Dark Souls games, except
I was just going to say,
now those damage you when you do that. Lava and Scarlet Rot, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
So that's funny. But yeah, it's a fun game. I think it's worth a spin for most folks, honestly. There's some fun to be had in here. And especially if you've been having a lot of like Elden Ring time recently. This is kind of a nice game to come down from it because it still has those familiar trappings of a FromSoft game, but you just let other things fight for you. It's just like the whole entire game is mimicked here. It's great.
Wow. No, that's actually really true. It's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, you just sit back and you watch and you just try not to get hit. And then everyone else fights for you.
Damn, that's true.
It's all FromSoft, baby.
It's all, it's
come
FromSoft
full
all
circle.
the way down.
FromSoft actually, Miyazaki actually looked at this game when he was thinking about new things to put in Elden Ring. He's like, how about instead of cards, we just make them ashes instead? They won't know the difference.
Miyazaki was listening to his favorite artist, Kid Rock, and thinking about being a full-time gamer and how we could really, really take it up to the next level.
Yeah, Miyazaki definitely blasts Kid Rock 24/7. Did I tell you about the time when I was a child in Borders Books and I went over to listen to the audio samples of the CDs that they had?
Yeah, sure.
And I put on the headphones and I see something that says Kid Rock on it. And I go, I'm a child and I like rock and roll music. Let me listen to this Kid Rock.
Rock for kids, you say?
Rock for kids, you say. And unbeknownst to me, the volume was turned all the way up. And so it just starts with, my name is Kid! It's just like blasting into my ears. And I've never listened to a Kid Rock song since.
The contrast of listening to Kid Rock full blast into Borders is like, it couldn't be any more different.
They were really trying to branch out to a new crowd of folk. By putting Kid Rock on the samples.
Can you imagine the person who used that right before you who was like, I need to put this up to full volume?
They're probably listening to like classical music or something on there. I'm sure that was also an option. They really wanted to hear the bassoon in the background.
But you opted for the Kids Rock.
Kids Rock, baby.
For kids,
I thought it was like Kids Bop.
Yeah, it's not that far of a stretch, honestly, to think that Kid Rock would be similar to Kids Bop.
I know, right? That's what I thought as a child, but how wrong I was.
Yeah. Cool. Lost Kingdoms is a good video game. You should try it if you have access to it.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
Hey gamers, you can reach us.
Wow, that was wild.
You can reach us on Twitter at Podtimism.
Yes.
Tweet us. Let us know what games you're playing, what your Podtimistic thing of the week is, or what have you. You can email us podtimism@gmail.com.
Yeah.
You can send us those same questions just over Gmail, email.
Over email.
That's great too. Do that.
Yes.
We kind of have a TikTok. I always like to mention it just to see what Chase's reaction is.
I was wondering if that's why it comes up sometimes, why I don't mention it and you do.
Just want to see if there's any new videos on there. Are we on the new trends? Any on the new sounds? No. Cool.
No.
Anyways, so we're not on there. Don't go there. If you really want to help us out, you can leave a review.
Yeah.
You can subscribe if you have the ability to do that on your podcasting app of choice. You can also let a friend know. Hey, I listened to this cool podcast, Video Game Podtimists,
with real full-time gamers on it.
With two real full-time gamers. They don't do anything else but game. No one knows how they make money, but they
40 hours a week.
Only 40 hours. I feel like if you're a professional gamer, a full-time gamer, I'm sorry, you're going to have to be putting in the extra hours to actually make it work.
Sorry, David. I got a work-life balance, my friend.
Are we unionized? Are we unionized yet?
We absolutely are.
Okay, cool. Then
we're trying to protect ourselves from big gamer.
From big professional gamer? From big full-time gamer? It's actually that guy that we described in the beginning with the backpack full of balls energy drink.
Yeah, no, that is Big Gamer.
That is Big true. Gamer. He actually changed his name to first name Big, last name Gamer. Anyways, if you are looking for any sweet art, this is your scout out of the week.
It is.
Hit her up. Humble Goat?
It is Ko-Fi. ko-fi.com/humblegoat if you want to go.
There you go.
Check out her wares. Her commissions were open a little while ago. I don't know if they're still open, but got to get up in there if you want.
if you want quality, you gotta wait for it. Gotta wait for it. But she's great.
It's true. That is true. Thank you, Scout.
Thank you, Scout. And most of all, thank you.
Thank you
for spending your time with us. We really appreciate it. We would do this if nobody listened.
That is true.
And it's kind of wild to us that anybody does. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We truly appreciate it.
It's awesome. Yeah, great thanks. Love having you here. I think you're gonna crush it tomorrow or today.
Great.
Yeah.
Whatever the next thing you're gonna do, you're gonna nail it.
I bet you'll do it. Yeah.
All right, Chase. Do you have any video game wisdom for us this week?
Yeah, short one. Go full time.
Full time. Ooh, that's a strong statement.
a lot of interpretation you could go with it too.
I mean, I feel like I got close to full-time gamer when I was playing Elden Ring just recently.
Yeah.
I was creeping up.
Are you putting in 40?
I was maybe like 30 hours a week gamer right there.
Yeah.
I was a full-time, part-time gamer.
But it doesn't even have to be gaming, right? Like that thing that you've been trying to do. If you got the bandwidth, go full time.
If you got the bandwidth, go full time. Just do it.
That relationship that you're like, ooh, I'm tiptoeing around. I'm not sure if I should really commit.
Go full time.
What if there's something else out there? No, dude. Go full time. If it's right, if it's healthy, if it's what you need, go full time.
Head first, deep end, no lifeguard.
Okay, well, maybe check. See if the lifeguard's coming back from lunch soon. If it's just like a pool that doesn't have one, like, okay, you're waiting for nothing.
You just went to the Mountain Mike's all-you-can-eat pizza lunch.
In Carmichael, Sacramento.
Carmichael, Sacramento.
Yeah.
It's just Carmichael. It
is just Carmichael.
And you are ready to pop a cramp. Go full time, baby. Go full time.
Full time. Papa Cramp is a very fun character.
Papa Cramp.
Papa Cramp, yeah. Papa Cramp.
Papa Cramp. Popping a cramp.
I feel like I am Papa Cramp every now and then. Yesterday, this is totally unrelated. Listener, hey, you don't have to stick around. We're just goofing now. If yesterday I ate a Adalberto's burrito for lunch, took a nap, woke up, and went to Dairy Queen. I was Papa Cramp last night, David. Oh my goodness. Vanilla shake on top of an Adalberto's California burrito.
Tragic combo.
It's wild.
What a strong and powerful, but also tragic combination of foods.
Yeah.
Adalberto's burrito was it just a milkshake, or was it also like a full Wendy's meal?
No, my friend. DQ, and I got a side of the Dairy Queen. No, David, don't fear. I got a tiny little bit of fries too.
Oh, wow. You really got all the food groups.
Well, because we went to Leatherby's, the Sacramento State. Well, no, we went there, and it was Dad's Day yesterday.
Oh, it was popping off.
Every dad in Sacramento wanted to go to Leatherby's.
My dad went to Leatherby's earlier last week.
See?
He sent me a picture.
Emily Ellen suggested that like perhaps it is just an easy thing to do with dads. Like, well, I don't really know what I want to do today.
Everybody likes ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. So like, let's go do that. Mm-hmm. Went there, no dice. Went to Dairy Queen. The line was only 6 cars long.
6 cars for DQ.
It was longer than I was expecting it to be. But did chase down that California burrito with a delicious vanilla shake.
There you go.
Yeah.
You only live once.
You only live once, and potentially shorter if you're eating like me. Can clog those arteries right up.
You should go on a cleanse this week, probably.
Yeah. I think so. Papa Cramp needs to take a little break.
Papa Cramp needs to pop a cleanse.
True. Okay, we'll see you next week for Battalion Wars. Is that what we're doing?
Papa Krampus?
Yeah, Papa Krampus. We'll see you for Papa Krampus. Bye.
Sounds good. See ya.